Are you joking? You're joking.
About Sims and their, they were.
I do.
Yeah, I mean, I can't put it between us. Are we good? Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United
States of America and to the republic
for which it
stands
one
nation
under
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the roll, please.
Mayor Bailey.
Here.
Mr. Bateman.
Here.
Mr. Goodyear.
Here.
Mr. Hart.
Here.
Mr. Ori.
Here.
Vice Mayor Phelps.
Here.
Mr. Ping.
Welcome, everyone. With us tonight, we have Assistant City Manager Chris Weinich, our Director of Finance, Mark Medler, Clerk of Council, Misty Clark, City Manager Dave Kennedy, our City Solicitor for the day, Jeff Devine, Police Chief Michael Gabrielson, former Council members Pat Mays and Todd Osborne. I think that's it. So welcome, everyone. All right, first we have open forum. Ryan Rolfs.
Hello, Madam Mayor, Mr. Vice Mayor, esteemed members of council, Mr. Kennedy, Chief. 6 months ago when I came before you, I was nervous and apprehensive about this bridge project going on the Bears Creek Bridge. And my greatest fears and worst nightmares couldn't compare to how this project has gone so far. Our life is a complete shambles. There's a couple things I'd like to discuss with you today. Sorry, I'm nervous. The first thing is the safety of pedestrians and children. There is no sidewalk on the road. It is one lane, barely a lane. It's 3/4 of a lane, and people are forced to walk down it. There's always groups of people, and when cars go by, there's not enough room for both. And we ran into a situation last night where a 6-year-old was almost hit by a man driving probably about 40, who may or may not have been drinking. And it's gotten to the point where we're scared for the people that are around that we're going to see something horrible because this road is not ready for car traffic. The second issue I'd like to raise is the dust. Our home, our cars, everything is covered in this dust. I brought my car and my work van to my mechanic, and he said that it looked like we had been driving through the Sahara Desert, and it was the worst air filter he'd ever seen. The air filter in our furnace has lasted about 2 weeks before it goes black. And the cost to our family for that has just become astronomical. The water is still not safe to drink. After they're done working, it still runs brown. So we've been forced to spend $12 extra a week on water bottles, which comes to a grand total of about $360 to date. And we can't stop yet. So I can only imagine how much higher it's going to get in the future. But we just feel our lives have been disrupted. We've been told by the city, by the website, that they're planning to open one lane on the 15th. And those of us on East Loveland feel that this is a bad decision and that the road should remain closed for the safety of the residents and the pedestrians until a sidewalk is completed. I thank you all for your time. I'm on my last straw and don't know what to do. We're very miserable down here. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Rolfs. All right, next on the agenda is the minutes from the June 25th, 2024 City Council meeting. Are there any changes or additions to those minutes?
Move to approve as written.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Bateman.
Yes.
Mr. Goodyear.
Yes.
Mr. Hart.
Yes.
Mr. Ori.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Phelps.
Yes.
Mr. Ping.
Yes.
Mayor Bailey.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Mr. Kennedy?
So tonight I bring forward to City Council a resolution which would approve an annexation of 47.772 acres of land along Level Madero Road. This includes 45.8594 acres of real property and 1.9126 acres of road right-of-way, of which the city, per the resolution, will assume the maintenance of. This is composed of 3 separate property owners and includes the Stiver property, the Celeste Kennedy property, and the Bill Caden property. This land was eligible for annexation due to its connectivity to existing property. Our city solicitor, Joe Braun, filed the annexation petition on April 10th, 2024. With that was the resolution of which the city stated services to be provided, which we did via Resolution 2431 and also Resolution 2432, which the city's resolution accepting maintenance of that roadway within the perimeters, the boundaries of that. Per the Ohio Revised Code 709.04, 60 days at a regular meeting follow our receipt of the action by the commissioners, the city shall hold a meeting and through resolution or ordinance formally accept the annexation. At that point, our clerk of council, Mr. Clark, will then finalize the paper will be sent on. But with today's action, the land will be formally accepted and annexed into the city.
All right, thank you. Any comments or questions? Mr. Bateman?
Just a couple of clarifying questions around this. You mentioned that there's 3 applicants they're coming in together as
Yeah. It was 3 separate annexation petitions. Each one of them was separate. But then it was there was 3 separate annexation agreements. Each property owner executed an annexation agreement. Those were compiled into one annexation petition filed by Joe. So we did separate annexation agreements with each property owner.
Okay, and then it comes into this as one annexation, sort
Yes.
of one unit of
And the commissioner's property comes in by default by what you guys passed with the resolution, assuming that responsibility.
Okay. And then the other question I sort of was asking myself around this was I see that one of the benefits of this is certainly, from an identity standpoint, many people consider this already Loveland. So this is sort of like giving us a greater, clarity of boundary when it comes to that part of town of Loveland Madeira and allowing us to have a more control, I'd say, around the potential development of that site and our boundary there. So I think that similar to what we did in other annexations, I'm in favor of this. My only, question around this is the fact that it looks like it's a dump, a refuse pile. So what are our obligations as a city for having that? And so I was doing just a little bit of research, and what it looked like to me was that just like anything in our boundary, it doesn't really change anything. And in fact, we will have a little bit tighter controls around implementing regulatory issues or compliance as needed, as being in our boundary as opposed to outside.
Yes. Yeah, and we could actually assist the property owner. We would not purchase the property, but anything that happens on that property behooves the city as a whole. Some of the frontage of the property is already developable and is not tied to the other partial. So that, the ability for the city, obviously the city has experience with brownfield remediation, and we can certainly be of assistance to the property owners in the future, because it behooves everybody if that property someday is a contributable tax producing, job producing site. It certainly benefits all the residents in that area and adjacent property owners.
And again, but to no risk to the city, no risk to the taxpayer, in the sense that it's not our property, but we'll be able to execute our rules and laws on that. And in fact, there's also an emergency response ability as well, for us to. So that was interesting. That's just my only questions around that. I talked to our legal counsel by proxy a little bit about this before the meeting. So all clear, and appreciate the opportunity to continue to grow the city.
Any further comment? All right, read the resolution, please.
Resolution to accept the annexation of certain property from Sims Township, Hamilton County, Ohio, totaling 47.772 acres, as approved by the Hamilton County Board of Commissioners on May 2nd, 2024.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Goodyear?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Mr. Ori?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Phelps?
Yes.
Mr. Ping?
Yes.
Mayor Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Bateman?
Yes.
Resolution 51 is adopted by a vote of 7 to 0.
Mr. Kennedy?
So the second item I have is council is aware every year, early in the year, as sort of our getting ready for the year business, we establish that we will sell on items no longer needed for municipal purposes on govdeals.com. And if you recall, you guys approved the removal of sale of quite a few pieces of property from Public Works earlier in the year. Actually, all of those revenues that received from that, which was substantially more than we ever anticipated, were used to pay in full the agility course in the dog park, and also allowed for seating area number 2 to be, with the other grants, to be constructed with no local match, because we earmarked those fundings. So with that in mind, we currently have 4 items that Scott Wisby, our Public Works Director, and myself concurring have deemed no longer needed for municipal purposes: a GMC T7500 street sweeper, 2400 GMC, two 2004 GMC Sierras, and a brush bandit chipper. We would request the council authorize, since they exceed $1,000 in value, that we would sell those on Gov Deals. As we do with all of these are unbudgeted revenues, and talking to our Director of Finance, there is certain obligations that these go back to be utilized with the funds that originally purchased those. And with that, if you recall, during COVID, not to take you back to that period of time, and we made some strategic cuts due to the uncertainty of the finances of what would happen to the city due to COVID. A lot of those cuts were made largely to the Public Works Department, and we have not purchased a pickup truck, which to a Public Works Department is like a police cruiser to Chief Gabrielson. We are well behind schedule, and we were hoping that in 2024 we could purchase 1 this year and budget for 2 next year. That would catch us back up. So we would like for all proceeds of these items to be attributed towards the purchase of a standard work truck that we would come back to council later. We're working actually with a local car dealership to come up with one. But this is what we like to do when we have unbudgeted funds come in. And this would be a perfect use for Public Works to do that. So, if anybody has any questions.
All right. Any comments or questions, Mr. Hart?
Do you anticipate the sale of this to cover the price of a new pickup truck?
No, we've been working with a local dealer. No, we do think that the street sweeper and the 2 trucks combined, I think Chris and I were thinking, we would maybe get around a little more than half of that value. The thing about trucks for the Public Works Department, they come out from many, many different funds: general, street, water, utility billing. It really doesn't have one major impact on just one fund. So by the time we distribute the balance, and what you get when you purchase that, we won't be paying taxes and so on and so forth. Outside of lettering the truck, it'll be put into service immediately. I would hope that when we come back to you to purchase this truck, that we're able to say that we were able to get close to 50% of what we need on that from these unbudgeted revenues, and the water and the stormwater and the utility billing and all of these different funds. It's no major hurt to any of them, and they've got something they've needed for many years because they're driving around some junk. And so, yeah, I hope.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Vice Mayor?
I take it that the street sweeper and the chipper have been in service and will be taken out of service to be sold. Does Mr. Kennedy have plans to replace those in the near future?
No, the street sweeper is somewhat duct taped together. You know, the Public Works Department has a mechanic. We did that about 5 years ago, Thomas Doman. So we have a dedicated mechanic who has paid his salary many times over just by how much money he's saved this city. When Thomas says to you, he just can't keep it running, it can't keep it running. That's probably the biggest dollar item we're going to get. I just don't know. I never anticipated those other items you sold were going to be able to fund so many things. You never know what's going to come out, but Gov Deals is it. That's the main thing. That draws all the attention. So, Sean Hartness, our Assistant Public Works Director, was trained by Kevin Corbett on how to run the website and to do all those things. And he'll meet with people, during regular hours. So we certainly are accommodating to the public who wants to do it. But ultimately, it's cash sale, and you get it as is, and all the other things that come with it. But yeah, we would anticipate that we may in 2025 come back to the city with a contract for street sweeping services rather than the amount of money we're going to pour into this, keeping this one running, and the amount of money we would pour in to buy a brand new one. We will probably follow pace of what many communities are doing, which is contracting that street sweeping out.
Okay. I assume we have another chipper.
Yes, we
Not
just
like
bought a
yours.
brand new one,
That's it.
a DR one, tree and environment funds used for that.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions, comments? All right, read the resolution, please.
Resolution declaring city-owned public works vehicles and equipment surplus inventory and authorizing the sale of those vehicles and equipment on the city's online internet auction site.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Mr. Ori?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Phelps?
Yes.
Mr. Ping?
Yes.
Mayor Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Bateman? Mr. Goodyear?
Yes.
Resolution 52 is adopted by a vote of 7-0.
Mr. Medler.
Thank you, Mayor. The city currently has 6 lighting districts. So how those work is the lighting bills from Duke come to the city pays those bills, and then the electricity is paid by each parcel via their property taxes. So every year we collect the 12 months worth of bills and assess it to the taxes through the different counties. This is pretty standard, and we have to have each district having its own item.
All right, anybody have any comments or questions? All right, we have 6 ordinances. They're all first readings only. We'll just do one after the other. Go ahead whenever you're ready, Ms. Clark.
Ordinance assessing lighting maintenance and operation costs associated with the Brandywine on the Little Miami subdivision located in Warren County, Ohio. Ordinance assessing lighting maintenance and operation costs associated with the Hermitage Point subdivision located in Warren County, Ohio. Ordinance assessing lighting maintenance and operation costs associated with the Sanctuary at Miami Trails subdivision located in Claremont County, Ohio. Ordinance assessing lighting maintenance and operation costs associated with the White Pillars Phase 1 subdivision located in Claremont County, Ohio. Ordinance assessing lighting maintenance and operation costs associated with the White Pillars Phase 2B subdivision in Claremont County, Ohio. And ordinance assessing Ordinance assessing lighting maintenance and operation costs associated with the White Pillars Phase 3 subdivision located in Claremont County, Ohio.
Thank you. Mr. Kennedy?
So the last item we have is every year the city we need to make an appointment. We're unique in the sense that the city is unique in the sense that we get to go to 3 tax incentive review county meetings every year. And so Claremont County has requested that the city make an appointment to the Claremont County Tax Incentive Review Council. They just meet annually. The city actually has their own tax incentive review committee, and we just go over municipalities. Basically, for the city, we will review any community reinvestment areas, which is the city's main tax abatement program, with the county. It's the entire process takes about less than 5 minutes. Based upon the process of appointing that, I am recommend that council via motion appoint Assistant City Manager Chris Weinich and Director of Finance Mark Medler to serve on the TRC, the Claremont County TIRC, for a 1-year term.
Anybody have any comments or questions? Vice Mayor?
I'll move to make Mr. Weinich and Mr. Medler our appointed members of the Tax Incentive Review Council of Claremont County.
Second.
That was difficult.
It was. That was impressive.
It was not impressive. Hold the roll, please.
I don't know what.
Mr. Ori?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Phelps?
Yes.
Mr. Ping?
Yes.
Mayor Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Bateman?
Yes.
Mr. Goodyear?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
I thought it was impressive.
Yeah. All right. As far as announcements, we just had a major July 4th event. Misty would like me to thank, and what thing I thought was pretty cool is how many of our staff were down there. We had our chief and captain and about every lieutenant and officer except those with me. It was unreal. I think the commitment that shows is pretty impressive, and it's a pretty cool showing for the city. But thank you to the police department, the fire department, public works department. They were all down there doing all kinds of all work with a smile the entire day. Also, thank you to our sponsors and those who donated prizes for the Buddy Badge game. Thanks to all the volunteers who worked the event. And thank you to the planning committee members, Christina and Adam Jaranek, Brian Maxon, Aaron Harper, Ian Rower, Nancy Duff, Tristy Redmond, Vicky Larcombe, Patty Pedicini, Becky Knoll, Krista Rose, and Misty puts herself last. But there is a quarterback for this, and it is certainly Misty Clark. So well done. It was a very well-run event and huge turnout. And weather certainly helped, but you did a great job. It was a heck of an event. Yeah, George Foster. Let's see, July 13th. That's this Saturday. Anita and the Daves will perform at the Gazebo in Nisbet Park on July 13th from 1 to 3. And the Bel Airs Show Band will perform 1950s and 1960s music this Sunday, July 14th in the amphitheater at Nisbet Park at 6 p.m. So thanks to our Concert in the Park sponsor, BRS Insurance, for that event. Does anybody else have any other announcements? All right, we have Mr. Bateman.
Yeah, I just wanted to, sorry, I'm late as usual, but just to respond a little bit to our open forum speaker, Ryan Rolfs, about the East Loveland. I know that's been really tough, that bridge project, and I know the city just recently put out a letter to the residents. I received them, and it was extremely well written and thoughtful in its tone and information in terms of trying to let the resident know how difficult it must be for them, understanding that. I think in large part this is a project that has many there's an expression, right? Failure has zero fathers, or success has something, whatever. The Orphans and Fathers comment, look it up. But
you look it up.
Nobody wants to take accountability for a project that is kind of taking too long or is being frustrating. And I think that the city being ground zero with this has really taken a punch, from the residents in terms of understanding that it's been difficult, and so I think that from what I've seen, we've bent over backwards to try to play a role of a referee between the different stakeholders, or to try to do different accommodations, and I just implore us all, the chief and the city, to just continue to do that, because I think those that are there that see it recognize that and see the hard work for what it is and the difficult situation for what it is. I know that there are concerns as the project moves forward, even making the final improvements in my mind, seeing that it might be faster or easier to go faster through that corridor, for example. And Mr. Rolfs is correct. There are a lot of small kids that live right on that stretch, and doing things that the city has within its power, whether it's children at play, signage, or something, when we get a chance to evaluate what we can do to try to make that as safe as possible. I mean, even before all of this construction, it was kind of a hairy little turn there. So anyway, I just wanted to be on the record of saying I feel our residents' pain in this matter, and I know that it's kind of nobody's fault but the project's, and we're doing the best we can on all fronts to try to address it one day at a time. And those folks working on that project certainly are the ones that'll tell you that they want to be done with it. They're trying as hard as they can to make progress, and it is being made little by little by little. So I know we just come across celebrating a great milestone, a tremendous event, but the work continues with all of the stuff going on, and I think we're on the right track, and I'm sure Mr. Kennedy will respond to Mr. Rolfs in kind sometime very soon to try to come up with a solution for the immediate concerns. So thanks again for all your help, and I just wanted to make that known, my opinion on that.
Well, and just as a follow-on to that, the issue with this has got to be the biggest public works project in decades in
Yes.
the city. Any one of the three aspects done alone would have been a major project. You replace a bridge, it is a major project. You rip up all water mains and replace water mains, put in sidewalks, new curbing, and storm. They didn't have any storm water up there, nothing. So we're putting in that. MSD is replacing all of their sewer lines. These are three incredibly large projects happening at once. And Mr. Kennedy has been responding to Mr. Rolfs and every other resident daily for months. I'm sure you can't count how many times you've spoken to Mr. Rolfs, and will continue to do so, but he does it daily.
Oh, I'm sure.
Daily. He calls him on his cell phone in the evening. So he has been more than responsive to Mr. Rolfs and to anyone else that has an issue. But one of his complaints is he doesn't think that the bridge should be open. Well, everybody past the bridge thinks it should be open. I mean, for everybody that has one opinion, there are others that have a whole different opinion on how this should go. So we are doing our best to manage that, but you're never going to make everybody happy. This is a horrendous project. And it's awful, and I feel terrible for everybody up there. But once it's finished, it's all work that had to be done. Doing it, I guess we could have done it over 3 summers. We could have done that, done 3 separate major projects. That's not a good idea. And it's not the contractor or the city or the county's fault that when something collapsed, right? The soil was not what anyone was expecting, and there was a collapse of the ditch. That added time. I mean, this is construction. It's they're doing the best they can, but it's hard to promise. Well, Mr. Ross will shut down the bridge. You're going to upset everybody past the bridge that has been begging to have a lane open. I mean, that's what you probably hear more than anything. Yeah. So, but that's going to kick up more dust because now people are going through more. There's no, for every action, there's a reaction with this project. There's no good answer, and there's nothing that we can say that is going to solve this for Mr. Rolfs or anyone else until it's finished.
What just to add on to that is, I think that over this time, I've seen an evolution of and a willingness to adapt to the changing environment. So to the point of, when is the right time? I don't know when the right time is, but when the right time is there, we'll find it, it'll happen, and we'll move on and evolve through that. I think that people have shown an incredible amount of resilience through this, and
it's got to be awful. I can't
even
imagine. But I will say, I know that Mr. Kennedy has done what he always does, only on steroids for this project and for the residents.
We're in good hands.
It's just there's no good solution, but he's doing his best, and so is Scott Wisby. I think he's up there every day, trying to work through this and get this try to please as many people in as many ways as we can. But in the end, it's a huge, awful, long inconvenience that is the rest of us not living through it can't possibly fathom. But there's no, I don't know, other than doing what we're trying to do, which is daily try to manage keeping as many people happy as possible. It's just, we're going to have to get through it. Hopefully it's not all that much longer.
Yeah, we were going to add the Artemis sign is going to be very with caution, letting people know the police department has made a commitment when that opens up on Monday that they will have a bigger presence at that area. It will. We hired A&A Safety. This is what they do. The lights are positioned and programmed. Driveways will have signs that say you're entering. There's not going to be a traffic signal at every driveway that's in between. They'll have signs that say you're entering, signal entering, changing flow or something. Go with the flow. And we will put up signs. We'll put up the Artemis sign will be blinking saying construction zone slow, construction zone slow. But the Bears Creek, 5th Street, and the people up there, they really want the project. And this is the window to do it. We asked the contractor to sort of deviate away from the bridge, get the pipes in the ground, which will then allow him to work in one lane of traffic. We have a need to be able to safely get emergency vehicles over there, and we think we're at that point now where, for the safety of everyone, we can now begin to get emergency vehicles over there. We don't really talk about it, but one more bridge inspection would have likely said that the weight limit on that old bridge would have limited us to be able to run fire trucks over that. So that was an added thing that was always in the back of our mind. And so the lights are going to be installed on Friday, and they'll be activated first thing Monday morning, early morning, and be working, and we'll make adjustments as needed. The police will be there, and the Artemis sign will be in full force blinking right there at the corner by the nature preserve.
Does anybody have any further comment on that or any other issue? Can we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Vice Mayor Phelps,
Yes.
Mr. Payne,
Yes.
Mayor Bailey,
Yes.
Mr. Bateman,
Yes.
Mr. Goodyear,
Yes.
Mr. Hart,
Yes.
Mr. Rory.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.